Hello everyone, I'm here with a new video. Basically, I just want to do a video doing like a review on a movie I watched recently. You may have heard it, another person who made it, Markiplier, and his solo film Iron Lung. Phenomenal film in my opinion. Really good film, love it. And here's all the reasons as to why. Starting off with well, I do have to go into detail mentioning pretty much how there's one flaw with it at least, and that's just that there's a couple of audio issues where in a scene or three, maybe four most, there's a bit of dialogue that gets kind of muffled, or something happens to it where it makes it hard to discern what the person or people in these scenes are saying. And that unfortunately is one big downside, not big, just slight downside of the movie. One unfortunate little accident. But other than that, there really wasn't any problems. Well, besides one other one I'm going to mention, but the pacing issue is what I'm going to mention. Is honestly, I'd say it depends from person to person on how good or bad it is. Because the thing is while it will feel slow, the thing is that pacing being a bit on the slower side is for the sake of building suspense and uh, suspense, exposition, as well as getting you introduced into the character that Markiplier is playing, Simon, who is a main character and one of the only few characters in the film, actually, um, because, well, of what the game is based on. I didn't have that on my notes to mention that, but I guess now is as good a time as any to really sort of bring that up, as the what Iron Lung is pretty much about. It's a film about pretty much, I believe, about a few decades prior to the film's taking place in its universe. There was an event where every inhabitable planet and star in the known universe at that point had just suddenly vanished one day without a trace. Literally, poof, gone. Where just no signs of life on any of these planets anymore. There was nothing. Where you go to the part of space where these planets inhabited were, where they were, and just nothing was there. And then, just shortly before the film's current point in the timeline, is when scientists left on these spaceships discover there's these four moons, at least four moons in the games. I feel like the movie only did mention the one that the movie takes place in. Four moons, but at least one where there are these oceans of blood discovered on them. And synopsis is pretty much your Mark, or the player in the game, in the game is a convict promised their freedom if they can do a successful exploration of this blood ocean. It doesn't go about as well as you'd expect. Kind of expected out of an submarine, kind of shitty one in a ocean of blood, after a event that took out a lot of humanity happens, and that, and also the fact that it was called the Quiet Rapture in the universe. So, knowing all that, then you get into how Simon, or Mark, this case, or the player in the game, is sent into the ocean to do a bit of exploring for this scientist team. And I guess that's where I get to the mentioning other things, is how, since there's a lot of, and not a lot of time, since there are a couple moments of other people acting, but it is an hour with the majority of that hour and 15 minutes of the first hour and 15 minutes of the film being just Mark, with maybe a couple scenes of other things happening, but for the majority of that hour and 15, it's Mark, just Mark. And in that, Mark needs to do a lot of solo acting, and I gotta say, I think he did a pretty good job. He did a good job acting. Where, in some cases, there are people that really were just able to forget that there was Markiplier doing that acting, and really get immersed in the feeling that it was another character, aka Simon, and not Mark there. And I gotta say, I do kind of agree, it was really good acting. Like I mentioned, the story of the game and also the movie is pretty good in my opinion. I do like it. It was pretty one-to-one, I'd say, sort of. There was a bit extra added to the movie, where it was, since you're not just a name holder person to be sort of like a self-insert, since you're the player character in the game, and it's an actual actor, Markiplier, playing this person in the film. They do give that person, aka Simon, a bit of a backstory, give him a whole character, and that's another main reason why the movie has an hour and 15 of a bit of a slow build-up, because it's you getting to know the character Simon, and also just adding a bit to the story, as well as getting a bit of backstory into him. Which, I'm not too sure, Markiplier did do a war update video on the Iron Lung game a while back during his production of the movie, and I'm not too sure if any of that mentions stuff that any of that was something he adapted into Simon's backstory, but just putting that out there in the off chance it is, which in that case would just make it even better of a game adaptation than. But that aside, there's also just the fact that the general atmosphere, the set itself was really good, really accurate, really a bit unsettling, which is good in this case, since it's the movie is more of like a suspenseful thriller with a little bit of horror, or cosmic horror in this case, which is good to have an unsettling atmosphere in that. The cinematography in the movie, amazing. I can't stress that enough. There were some really good shots in that film. There were some really good transitions. Cinematography was great all around. Oh yeah, sound design and soundtrack in general was also pretty good, pretty seamless. It didn't feel like there were any tracks that stood out. All of the tracks that were there did feel like they also did support the scenes that they were playing in. And then, I'd say that would be just about it for like the review side of this, because I do want to keep this like sort of spoiler free in terms of like the movie story at least. So I'm gonna tell y'all that I give this movie a 9.5 out of 10, because it is a really good film and all things considered, especially as a first film Markiplier has ever made. Really hope he makes another one, but I am gonna pause for the sake of just being able to put a spoiler warning on top of the next segment I want to record and put on this video, because I do want to do a little bit of talking about that, because I want to talk about Iron Lung and how much I like it. So I'm gonna pause that, put a big spoiler warning on top of the screen, so that way people know this is talking about spoilers, please stay away, so that way you know you don't get spoiled of the film. Because I really hope people do watch this film spoiler free. Okay, bye bye to those not wanting to be spoiled. Okay, for starters, on spoilers, the mechanic in that scene where Markiplier gets brought back up to the surface, and well, yeah, he's talking to that scientist, and then you see this mechanic that Markiplier blasted with radiation. The fact that that mechanic was a Jacksepticeye cameo was really fucking awesome. I also do like that little Easter egg that some people are pointing out online. The fact that this creature that showed up in the submarine peeking around the corner in the first half, and then in the second half of the film was sitting on Mark's chair, or Simon's. How when you look at it and you put them side by side, you'll realize that they're pretty much one and the same. How the monster and Simon are in each other's places in both scenes. How Simon is on the chair noticing the creature doing that, and it's vice versa in the other scene, which is a really cool little thing. And also just how the fact that that little creature, or not little, he's human-sized, also has a missing arm from what I've seen, who mimics, the state that Markiplier was in at the end of the movie, when he, had his arm had to rip it off to stop being in the clutches of that monster. And the eel design itself, also really awesome, really scary, which is, like I said, a good thing for old cosmic horror film, suspenseful thriller with the cosmic horror. We need to set that distance apart, because people hear horror when thinking about this film and then get the wrong expectations about it. It's primarily a suspenseful thriller more than a cosmic horror, and I really do hope to set that, because to like set that distinction, because then it makes it to where people are more able to understand what this film is trying to be, what this film is more not really meant to be. I guess I'll just say what it was trying to be, like I was in the first sentence. Yeah. I'm excited for the DVD and Blu-ray release that Markiplier is going to do. Shit. Oh yeah, there was a shit ton of swearing in this film, which is kind of funny in my opinion, but also, I don't know what else to say. It might be bad for some people. I didn't really care for it. It didn't really bother me or anything. It was just there, just a part of the movie. That one scene where Mark was tripping balls or something, and then the whole front window to the sub cracked, and then a bunch of blood went through, and then he hallucinated himself having a meeting with the fucking monster, the eel, if you will, that it's called. And that scene goes so hard, so good. That scene is definitely one of the reasons as to why I say the cinematography is good. Also, I'm pretty sure that scene just not able to be done without CGI, so I'm pretty sure whoever CGI'd that, also props to you. You definitely did a good job. Honestly, yeah, just the film is all around really good, and I can't stop singing its praises whenever I get the chance, because I love the film. I really hope Mark, hurries it up with the DVD and Blu-ray release, because I really would love to get my hands on the home release of this film. That aside, I'd say that's about it for this movie review. Well, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video with another figure review. I was gonna try and mimic Markiplier there, but I don't feel like that's Bye bye.